Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a wonderful start to the week. Let's talk about this chart. I don't want to scare you too much here. So let's dive on in. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what if alt season never happens? Oh no, guys, what if alt season never happens? Chart breakdown, Bitcoin halving, days between halving and Bitcoin dominance correction, days between Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin USD cycle top. In the prior two cycles, Bitcoin dominance held for 230 to 237 days before the alt season began, lasting all of it 300 days, excuse me. This cycle, 426 days post halving, Bitcoin dominance remains strong. If you believe in the 4-year cycle, circa 100 days remain before the cycle top in October. Is that enough time for alts to push Bitcoin down? All right. I have lots of thoughts about this. As always, first of all, okay, let me assure you of something. There will be an alt season. The question is, will it happen in 2025? No. Will it happen in January of 2026, a la 2018? Probably not. But there will be a point when altcoins go absolutely parabolic and they rip like crazy. Okay, but I've been saying for a while, this time is different. Now, this time has not been at all different for Bitcoin. It has been very similar to previous cycles, aside from the fact that, we did hit a new all-time high before the halving, but Bitcoin in 2021 and in 2017 and in 2013 were at similar levels in comparison to their previous cycle tops. Now, altcoins have just been looking like trash because it has just been absolutely depressing watching Bitcoin dominance rise from 40% up to 65%. And for how long it's happened, I mean, that's been the big thing this cycle. You see 426 days of Bitcoin dominance just nonstop, like just never ending. 426 days since the halving, excuse me. It's been much longer than that, actually. Whereas in 2020, 2021, it was 237 days. And then, I mean, really, it was just a few weeks of alt season, but a significant move down in Bitcoin dominance both times throughout 2017, all throughout 2017, then the early 2018, and then throughout 2020 to 2021, actually, literally 2021, that entire year. So what do we make of this time around? Well, what's different between last time and this time? Here we are. I shared this chart in a short form video. Let me share it again. This is showing phases of quantitative tightening and quantitative easing. And during phases of quantitative tightening, what we see is Bitcoin dominance rise because this is not the conditions that we need for alt season. But the time will come, I am telling you. And when that time comes, I hope you are ready. Now, what does that look like is the question. Does that look like a drop from 80% down to 60% Bitcoin dominance? If that happens, I'm telling you, a 20% move down in Bitcoin dominance is going to be a lot of fun. Or is that, dare I say, I mean, if this happened, it would be a disaster. 90% down to 70%. Listen, I don't think we're going to 80% given the fact that Ethereum is it's strong right now. Okay. So Ethereum alone would prevent Bitcoin dominance from going to 80% in my opinion, but let's get out of this window here. And we're close to being out of the window, whether it's July or September. I tend to think that, official QT, I know we're in soft QE era with certain levels of money printing going on right now, but really we are by definition in a period of QT. So we should expect Bitcoin dominance to go up with a few brief seasons of altcoins moving like what we saw in November and December. So yes, I'm telling you, yes. All right, 426 days since the halving of Bitcoin dominance going up. Maybe that'll be 500. I hate to say it. Maybe it'll be 600. I don't think it'll be 600. And then after that, maybe it'll be flat, But there will be a time when we will see a massive move down in Bitcoin dominance. And, all right, what if even, oh man, I'll get in trouble if I say this. You guys, I've recommended the part-time trader on X. He's got like 4,000 or 5,000 followers. I love his stuff. I always keep him in mind. He's very bearish. But what happens after the bearishness is 100x gains. And when I say he's very bearish, I'm talking about like ETH to $80, Bitcoin to 4,000. avalanche to $1. Now, I'm not saying that. Listen, guys, I'm not saying that. But if he's right, I'm going to be prepared to make absolutely life-changing gains. And I hope you are too. So there is not quite an end to this insight. I'm sorry, guys. There's not quite an end to this insight. 500 days is very likely, and we'll see what happens after that. But between now and 2028, probably closer to the next halving. I believe Bitcoin is going to peak closer to the next halving, that its peak for this cycle will be closer to the next halving than the previous one. And at some point in between now and then, altcoins will rip because it will be more aligned to risk on activity. So hang in there. But I'm sorry, yeah, this has been the most miserable cycle, and this illustration proves it. I've spent a lot of time on that. Let's move on. Another tweet from Brett. Just something to keep in mind. Don't let this scare you at all. But the last two notable weekly bearish divergences sent Bitcoin back to the 50-week SMA, the green line on this chart. We'll see that in a second. A third one is currently in play. Summer seasonality for Bitcoin is notoriously poor. May through August is showing the purple shade. I don't know what that means. All right, 50-week SMA is currently sitting just under $85,000, but it's moving up rather quickly. If this move occurred, it would decouple the current M2 correlation. I've always been skeptical of M2, that correlation. You can see the bearish divergences here, significant bearish divergence in 2021. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high, barely, very much lower in the RSI on that peak. And then we have kind of a triple bearish divergence forming here with Bitcoin. So let's look at bearish divergence number one. RSI went really high, and then it put in a lower high, but then Bitcoin's price put in a new all-time high. And what happened? Both times, actually, Bitcoin went down to the 50-week moving average. In August, this has just been a fantastic time to buy Bitcoin this entire cycle. All right, in August, that was $50,000. In February, it was $75,000. And we wicked below it. You can wick below the 50-week moving average. And this time around, right now, it's at $80,000. But like Brett said here, it is moving up quickly. And so where would we be when we meet this, if we meet this? Bitcoin honestly could be over $100,000 at that time, or more likely it would be in the 90s. And I've talked about the 200-day moving average and things aligning, I think, in such a way that Bitcoin could move down to the 200-day moving average. That would be just under $100,000, and then we'll be ready to move higher. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. But even if we did go to the 50-week moving average, that's not something that would cause any level of concern for me. So moving on, Bitcoin short-term holder MBRV has returned to the mean. Despite price nearing all-time highs, the market has reset. It looks primed for the next move. Sure. The market's reset. Short-term holders are now at break even. And it's nice when we see a little bit of a cool-off with short-term holders. You can see very clearly their playbook, recently at least, ever since November of 2021, has been to get up to kind of overextended the orange dotted line here. They've done it. That's happened the last 3 times. Wow. And the last 4 times, excuse me. And then we go down. But every time we've gone down well below the mean. So maybe, again, that seems to align with my thesis that we are in a C wave of an ABC correction. And maybe what comes next is a move down, but then after that, we'll be ready to climb higher. Again, your patience will be rewarded. Sentiment on X. Bitcoin's elite versus mortal wallets are moving in 2 different directions as its market value sits just north of $104,000, at least when this tweet was made. Wallets with 10 plus Bitcoin plus 231 wallets in 10 days, 0.15%. Wallets with 0.001 to 10 Bitcoin minus 37,465 wallets in 10 days that should be minus 0.115%. So where do we go from here? When large wallets accumulate as retail loses confidence, this is historically the right combination for bullish momentum to inevitably return to crypto markets. Again, general thesis, we have a little bit lower to go, but not a lot. And I've presented lots of data that would confirm that general thesis. We have a little bit lower to go, but not a lot. I don't want to talk about Bob Lucas's tweet yet. Let me get to Crypto Quant here. Yesterday's video, I showed you this: Bitcoin's demand momentum. Bitcoin spot demand momentum is its most negative on record. I want to point that out again. I actually want to look at the next chart, but look at previous times when spot demand momentum was this low. I mean, it was August into September of 2024, and it was the summer lull of 2021, and Bitcoin rallied significantly shortly after that both times. But that's not what I want. I want to look at the other chart. Here we have from CryptoQuant.com here. New money is drying up in Bitcoin. Short-term holders now hold 4.5 million Bitcoin, down 0.8 million since 27 May. Demand momentum sinks minus 2 million Bitcoin, worst on record. And you can see here. So short-term holders, when short-term holders have held a lot of the supply, that has tended to mark peaks. So you can see the peak in March, April of 2024. You can see the peak in November, December of 2025. And then you can see the move down here. And we are in the process of that move down, even though Bitcoin went to 112. Good sign. That's a good sign. And listen, I mean, the floor for short-term holders isn't all that much lower than where it is right now. And look at what happens when short-term holder supply bottoms out. When that happens, that tends to be a time to buy Bitcoin and to expect it to go higher. And so my suspicion, my guess is we're going to bottom out soon with short-term holder supply, and then we'll be ready to move higher shortly after. Let's see this play itself out over a month, 2 months, something like that. Moving on, Bob Lucas, bear market. This is a bear market tweet. This is not for something right now, like he says. Just something that I just want to make a mental note of, and I think you should too. So we have the Bitcoin treasury collapse is going to be massive, really massive, but that's for a much later date. First, they'll help send Bitcoin to the stratosphere. So this is a picture, yes, of what it might look like in the bear market. We have all these new Bitcoin treasury companies, new MicroStrategy wannabe companies, you know. And I'm a little bit nervous about these companies. My goodness, I just don't know if they know what they're doing. It seems like it's too good to be true, right? You print as many shares of your company as you want, and you buy Bitcoin with it, and then you hold on to the Bitcoin, yada yada yada. Maybe MicroStrategy is doing that right. If not, we're screwed. But I don't know about do these new ones know what they're doing, or are they just in it for a quick buck? We'll see. But I do wonder if the next bear market would feature a Bitcoin treasury collapse, which means a lot of supply being liquidated and forced onto the market. We'll see. Not something to worry about right now. So anyway, here's an account that I would strongly recommend. Rock bottom entries. I've gotten very good calls from this account. One of the followers on X, just recommended this account, and I followed them, and I really like what they have to show here. Really big in commodities, and I've talked about on this channel a lot. Commodities are primed for significant moves higher. And so this account really talks a lot about metals, silver, gold, etc. But then he talks about things like potash, something that I'm just not super familiar with, fertilizer, and wheat, you know. And I've followed some of his calls and made some decent gains from some of the stuff he's posted. And we have here the commodity index. The commodity index, this right here, let me tell you, is a bullish looking chart. And what comes after that should be, in my opinion at least, new all-time highs, at least new highs since 2022 in this commodities index. And so just something to keep on your radar. And what are some tickers that you should keep on your radar? I don't have all of these. Let's see, DBC, no. DXY, is that just the US dollar index? I don't know. But gold, silver, uranium, XLE, DBA, nat gas, natural gas. Okay, so there's potential here. There's a lot of potential for commodities, for miners. I've already told you guys plenty of times. I have bought a lot of precious metals miners, and they have been doing very well since I bought them. So check it out. Rock bottom entries. Otherwise, that's all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.